everybody. Hello, Lora.
Hello.
How are you,
Anne?
I'm good.
Good.
So this is the great Lora Haddock. Her company is called Lora DiCarlo. And today we have the, how can I say this, like the opportunity to smash the patriarchy in sex and tech.
You nailed it. Yeah.
So tell us about it. How do you want to do this?
I think it actually really starts with admitting that gender is fluid and that not everybody is binary, not everybody is male, not everybody is female, and understanding that males and females have opposite traits. When we start to understand that, then we understand that women have and men have equal opportunities in tech and in sex tech and in sex as well. And we're all about equal opportunity orgasms. So what our company does is we provide that opportunity. I created a company about 2 years ago called Lora DiCarlo, and we create tech, we engineer tech that acts like and feels like a real partner. So what we've done with our first product is we have a product that actually feels like a real partner. We've eliminated the use of vibration, and what I noticed that we really needed was something that could fit multiple people, multiple different kinds of bodies, and something that I wanted completely hands-free. So this is sex tech for a blended orgasm, and that's when you stimulate the clitoris and the G-spot at the same time, and you get this mind-blowing orgasm. And the reason this came about was because I literally had one, and it knocked me off the bed, and I fell on the floor, and I just laid there for a while and went, how do I do that again? And started actually doing the design for that. But what was really interesting is I realized we needed data that didn't exist. So I had to actually start asking people about their personal parts, like where's your clitoris, where's your G-spot? And we started realizing there was a range, and there were multiple data points. When you have multiple data points in a range, you can actually start to design for that. So we started creating a product that can fit multiple people, that is completely hands-free and completely eliminates the use of vibration for an experience that feels like a human partner. And we have a product called Ose that's doing just that, and it'll be available this fall.
We're all looking forward to this,
yeah,
I think.
I know, me too.
So, I mean, what I find interesting, you come from a family of engineers, actually, right?
Yeah. My father was an engineer, space station project manager for NASA.
Yeah, wow. So that
sending
means
women to the moon.
You come from a completely different background than you would assume with a subject like this. So, and I find this is a very interesting new way of thinking or addressing these kind of, let's say, classically intimate topics or things related to intimacy and to shame also, right?
Yes.
We talked about this earlier.
Absolutely. I think there's a lot of shame that's wrapped around in sex, and particularly with females. We demonize female sexuality in a lot of cases. Maybe a little bit more forward-thinking here, but America, it's very difficult. And kind of what we're doing, a goal of the company early on was to, really open up the conversation around sex, around eliminating that shame, removing destigmatizing the conversation around sex. And I feel that if we can do that, especially if we can teach our young people that sex is okay, sex is fine, your preferences, your sexual desires, that's what makes us who we are as well. And when we can start to talk about that with our younger children, our younger generations, we start to eliminate those biases between males and females. We start to open up the conversation and open up spaces like in business, in tech. We start to have more open conversations with our young people, and we allow women and people of color and people in the LGBTQ communities and people of different abilities to sit at the director level, to sit at the C-suite level, and to sit at the board level. And when you do that, you start making tech, you start making products that speak to everyone, that aren't just for one kind of person, but that can actually help and provide for multiple demographics of people. When you create a company like that, you make more money, you get more attention, you speak to more people, you start fighting for a social mission. And for us, that's rooted in gender equity.
Sounds good. I mean, so and you had this interesting word that we talked about earlier. It's called meritocracy, meaning that you just hire people that think like you, look like you, act like you, are from, even from the area that you're from. So this obviously has to end also in terms of the community we talk about, like the female, like say, sex-positive community.
Yeah, meritocracy is rooted in the belief that we hire based on skills. And let's face it, like that does not exist. I mean, that's a very ideal environment, but the fact is we don't do that. And part of the reason is because we have so many biases around gender and around ethnicity, around belief. And like I said, you start, what we're looking at right now and what we're trying to break through is called homophily. Homophily is the, you know, if I own the company, I only hire women that are brunette, that talk like me, that maybe went to the same school that I did. Mm-hmm. But when you have a lot of, you know, generally white cis males that hold the gates, that hold the keys, and they do the hiring. And it's not to say that there's anything wrong with wanting to hire people like you, but when you can't see your own innate biases and you hire all of these people that look just like you, you stop making innovative decisions. You start thinking inside of a box instead of outside of it. And the last thing I want to do is innovate inside of a bubble. So our company has become very data-driven. So we're going outside of Lora DiCarlo, and we're pulling in data points, and we're talking to communities, and we're actually living in and being in spaces where we can make a difference. Like I said, we just came from World Pride in New York City, where I was just telling you, instead of 50 to 60,000 people walking in the parade, there were 215,000 people in New York City walking in Pride Parade in promotion and advocacy for the LGBTQ community. So we want to make a difference. We don't just want to talk about making a difference.
I mean, there's this famous story about you where you got the award by the CES, the CES Innovation Award, and then they took it back. So just you have to tell us that story, because that's such an interesting example for this stagnation, I would say.
So for those of you that don't know, we actually partnered with Oregon State University, which is actually one of the top 4 robotics graduate programs in the United States. And they are amazing. They sat down with us, and we worked on this project for nearly 6 months when we started to see a prototype. And we started having something in hands, and I'm working with professors and PhDs and students, and I started hiring them too, which was a lot of fun. And so we end up with this prototype, and we go, wow, this is really innovative. This is brand new tech. These are new functions that nobody's ever done before. And out of that came 8 new patents at that time, and now we're about to close 9 patents on the technology that we've created. So that being said, we have this great product, and so we applied for the Consumer Technology Association's CES Award, the Honorary Innovation Awards for 2019 in robotics and drones. And we got it, because it's really, really cool. And then about a month later, you know, it's an enterprise. They want you to buy space. They want you to be there. They want you to pay money to be at the show. So in order to be in their showcase, they want us to buy exhibitor space. So we said, all right, of course, we want to be here, so we'll buy exhibitor space. And we started to apply, and then we got an email from them saying, wait a second, this has to do with vaginas. You can't be here. And we went, wait a second, there is tech. There is VR, porn for men. There's an android. There's a robot that looks like a woman.
Well, it's just the breasts,
it's
like a
this
face
part
and
right here,
right? I mean,
this is it right there. And you can change her face. You can take her face off, which is kind of creepy.
Wow.
And you can change her accent. So, and then she'll compliment you and do sexual favors for you, obviously, because that's what she was made for. But our product was deemed immoral, obscene, or profane. So they took the award away, and we fought them on it really hard, and we ended up winning. In January...
Yeah, applause for Lora, really.
So in January, we released all this information. We had PDFs, we had documented everything, and it was just all of this very biased information coming back from the CTA, and we called them on it. And every single... We had over 200 bits of press come out internationally, so everybody was calling them on it, going, this is not okay. And we gleaned a lot of support internationally. We realized that we did have a place in tech. I think we always knew that, but this was very validating. So then, about 2 months after that, very quietly, one of Gary Shapiro, who is the president of the Consumer Technology Association, his assistant sent me an email saying, we'd really like to talk. So we said, all right, and we sat down and we put together a conference call with them. And the first thing he said was, I owe you a big apology.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah. And we're a little tiny company. So we said, yeah, we appreciate that. You owe my engineers an apology, because we have some really amazing gender non-binary, non-conforming females, males, everybody across the board creating this tech, and they deserve it. And then we realized that they wanted to give our award back. And we said, hold on a second. We don't necessarily need that award back. What I need for you to do, what we need for you to do, is we want to see you change your policies. We want to see you make your policies more inclusive, your language more inclusive. We want to see a safer show for people across the spectrum, no matter their ethnicity, no matter their ability, no matter their gender. We want people to feel safe at your show. We want you to include them. And that starts with your policies. So we've been working with the CTA to change their policies in order to be more inclusive. So we'll just say that they've published those, and we'll wait and see how CES 2020 turns out. So we're cautiously optimistic about how the show turns out. But we're chipping away at the patriarchy one little bit at a time.
I mean, what I find interesting with this topic or subject in general is that for most people, I would assume that orgasm is something so very intimate. So, but obviously, all these new technologies are changing our relation to intimacy in general, not only a sex product or toy, but also texting. I feel it's the same thing. It kind of differentiates you or kind of distances you from other human beings in a way. So how do you feel about that topic? Because I think I can imagine that a lot of people are very interested in these kind of new technologies, but that's something that's kind of still in between accepting them completely.
So that was a fear of mine as well. Like, and we look at the evolution of technology, particularly sex technology, and there's a fear that we could be sequestering ourselves as individuals into hidden corners and not actually really doing anything or evolving with our tech as it evolves in front of us. And we have an opportunity. I think that we can go down that route where we start, hiding in our phones, and we stop talking to people and we stop interacting, or we can use this technology to create better relationships, to really explore ourselves and educate ourselves about our own bodies, about our relationships with other human beings, and to burgeon into that relationship. And so it's an opportunity. It certainly is. And I think the way that we're creating this tech is so forward-thinking. It is literally, it's based on human physiology, on how we work. So a lot of people are too afraid because of the shame that's involved with sex to actually really explore their own physiology, and this is a tool. It's a tool to understand yourself better, understand your preferences better, understand what you like, how you get there, and what's really neat about that is if you understand more about your own body, then one, it's empowering, but two, you can actually share that experience and share that knowledge with your partner, and that brings people closer together.
Interesting, yeah. We have this one question.
Ah.
So, what does the product do instead of vibrating, which is probably what a lot of people are interested in, I can imagine.
What does it do besides vibrate?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so we don't vibrate. We're creating biomimicry, and that is literally the mimicry or the replication of human motions. So it could be human, it could be, any kind of biological mimicry. So we're actually doing things that feel like a human partner. We're recreating the experience you get with a human partner. So that come hither motion, that is really amazing if you do it properly on the G-spot, that's what we do. The thing that, if that human partner has really, really good at, about as far as cunnilingus is concerned, around stimulating the clitoris, we do that only a little bit better. So the idea was to bring two of these experiences together, and the only way you can do that now is if you have two really specific toys, or you have a really talented partner, and neither of which is easy to come by. So we designed it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, another question from here. So, which I find interesting. So, how would you approach people with this that are not so interested in being sexually very open, or kind of in touch with these kind of new ideas about even a transgender idea of sexuality, for example?
I think that one thing that we've done, and like I said, we're very data-driven. So currently, we're taking a small section of the population, and we're actually doing a lot of research, and we're looking at like where people lie and where their preferences lie, where their sexuality lies, and how much they actually know about their own bodies. And what we're finding is that everybody wants to know more. And the sad thing is that most people don't know enough. A good 70-some% of straight females, less than that, know where their clitoris is. Close to 50% of those people know where their G-spot is. But every single one of them, of the 1,500 people that we've surveyed, every single one of them wants to know more. So, wow. But as far as that's concerned, if sexuality and is a little bit shameful for you, it's something that this is a device, a tool that you can explore your sexuality in the comfort of your own home. So it's about exploring your own body. And to be honest, when you know more about your own body, you spend more time with yourself, you start catching things like diseases, like problems, things that are going differently with your body. So, I mean, we're also creating space for you to take better care of yourself medically. Okay.
It's also probably good to know about these areas early on in life.
Yeah, earlier. Probably a good idea.
Than you used to. We have a couple of questions here, but I wanted to still talk about this AI subject that we talked about in the beginning. Yeah. That it's also possible that AI can be sexist.
Unfortunately, it is. The problem there is that, like I said, we need to really think about diversifying the people that work for us, the people that are managing our teams, that are directing, that are at the director level, that are at the C-suite level, that are at the board level, because those are the people, and the people who are writing our code and doing the designs. Because if we don't diversify at that point, if we don't make safe spaces and create inclusive spaces for everyone, then you end up with that homophily. You end up with this very, very specific idea, this code that makes decisions about hiring, and that code looks like one person wrote it, and those internal unconscious biases, maybe against females, or maybe against people of color, or maybe against somebody with a handicap, those come through. And that's not right. So if we don't start diversifying our entire team from the ground all the way to the top, and not just thinking, oh, we need to diversify, because if you think you're going to diversify your team without really looking at yourself and how you approach hiring, how you approach individuals, then you're kidding yourself. You're selling yourself short and you're full of crap. You need to talk to individuals. You need to understand what makes people feel safe, understand what makes people feel ostracized, and explore that and create safe spaces for people.
I mean, this is kind of immediately touching one of the questions, that how do you educate people in the future in a way of like in their sexual education, because it has to do also with the religious background. In some religions that are coming forward now, you could not really talk about it, or you would go to a secret place to act out your preferences.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm Catholic, you always can confess, and it's fine, but it's not in every religion the case. So
I come from a Sicilian family. We come from a Roman Catholic background.
Same here.
The fact is, my family, even though we came from that background originally, we still talked about our bodies.
Oh, wow.
We still talked about things, because the fact is, it's not just sex. It's not just exploring what you love and your preferences and your joys, which are really important, but it's exploring your health. It's understanding your body, because if you don't understand your body, you are the best patient advocate you have. And if you don't understand your body, it doesn't matter if you go to a specialist or an amazing doctor. If you're talking to somebody who doesn't know your body as well as you do, you're out of luck.
That's true. I mean, one very important question here that's keep coming up is, when can you get it and what does it cost?
I know, I've seen it come up like 4 times.
Yeah, here, you can see it too. Okay, good. Okay.
So we have Ose, which is this first product that I've been talking about, that does this amazing blended orgasm with biomimicry. Is going to be coming out this fall. If you are on our website and you sign up for our newsletter, we are doing a pre-sale. Only the folks that sign up on our newsletter are likely going to be the ones that can buy it ahead of time. We also have a plethora of amazing new products that we're engineering that will be available come Q1 and Q2. Working with the people on our team has been, it's mind-blowing, because we have experts in their space. I have a trans female who has a doctorate in mechanical engineering, and she has expertise in AI and biomimicry and microrobotics, and she's helping us design every day. I have a 30-year veteran in mechanical engineering who's helped nearly 50 some odd products to market, and she's our director of engineering. We have an amazing engineering team, so we've got 10 products that we're already starting work on. So it'll be available this fall, and you just need to sign up on the website, and that's LoraDiCarlo.com.
There's one question of course, that's kind of comes up immediately. How will this influence pornography or the porn industry when you talk about female empowering in porn, which is always kind of a not so easy subject, I feel.
Right.
But so how do you think this is going to play out with products like this?
So I think where porn is concerned, I'm trying to think of her name. There's a association called Make Love Not Porn, and Cindy Gallup, actually.
Oh yeah, she was here, I think.
Yes,
I remember.
Yeah, but I mean, when we start understanding our bodies, when we start empowering ourselves to make our own decisions about how we approach sexuality, how we approach sex, how we approach preference, how we approach gender. I think that we as females and as minorities in these spaces can occupy not just tech and business, but we can start occupying pornography more too. And I mean, I think it's having a very varied opinion and approach to sex and sexuality, and we're starting to get into that space. We're not very terribly involved with porn, but we are looking at getting into starting to branch into VR porn, or not VR porn, but VR sexual experiences, where we would actually create a developer's toolkit for our products to be able to license to VR spaces so that they can actually have that experience. So you could have an experience if you're in Berlin and your partner is in New York. So
Wait, that's a really good idea, I feel.
I know. I didn't even think of that one.
This is solving so much problems in the world, I feel. Okay, so because I just see we only have a couple of minutes, so what do you think is if you go fast forward in 5 years, what is your biggest wish? What do you think what should happen in your opinion in that time?
Well, I think it's pretty obvious there are a lot of issues with females in politics, females in business, females in tech. Right now, I want to see those playing fields leveled. I want to see more diversity in tech and business. Our mission as a company is not just about sex tech. It's about creating gender equity in multiple platforms, and we understand that there is a problem. There is a woman problem with that is systemic across industries, across countries, across nations, that until I want to see more women standing at the top, more diversity, period. And don't get me wrong, because we are not man-haters. I think that there is a huge lack of education for males in this space, and it's really just, it's about creating better education and being more open around empowering ourselves and being able to empower ourselves to be in conversations and be sitting at the table. So I want to see more of that diversity. I want to see more safety. I want to see more inclusion at more companies, and not just the pushing to have more diversity, but understanding why it's important. Because when you start to diversify your space, you start creating things for everyone. And when everybody can be involved, those companies don't just make more money, but our consumer is more geared towards wanting to make purchases with a socially responsible company. And when they can do that, they make more money, they make change. And that's what we're here to do, is we're here to make change.
You just said the word, please.
Thank you.
It's your applause. You just said the word, and that's also another question here. You talk about the safe space, or the creation of a safe space. How would you say, how can you do this without just being in kind of a, let's say, an extra detached spot from the place that actually runs power decisions? Do you know what I mean? Like, how can you interfere in power structures and be safe at the same time?
Well, I'm not. I think it comes from how we approach business. Women tend to approach business in a very different manner. I am not a business person by trade. I'm a nurse.
You're a nurse. Okay. We didn't talk about this.
Yeah. I came from the healthcare industry. The whole reason I went into healthcare is because I wanted to help people. I wanted to understand people. Psychology is a really, really important subject to me, and understanding people on an individual basis. If I can get into someone's head or into someone's space and understand what drives them and why they want to be where they are, that helps them grow, that helps them to contribute as an individual to the bigger picture. And when you create, not just give them space to sit at the table, but you give them a social mission, and you give people something, a reason to fight for, like gender equity. Like, we have people that come to work on a daily basis, and if you come to work and all you're trying to do is make profit, that gets tiring. It gets exhausting. But you come to work on a daily basis and you know you're fighting for a cause. That gives people, it puts fuel in their tank and it lights their fire. But I try to sit down as much as possible on an individual basis and understand where my employees are coming from. Whether you're extremely outgoing and extroverted or you're entirely introverted. I want to sit down and I want each individual to understand how their contribution is affecting the company and is really creating a better company. For example, I have a very introverted social media expert. Mm-hmm. And I told her about 6 weeks in, I go, do you have any idea how fucking awesome you are? And she just went, and I was like, are you okay? And she's like, nobody tells me this. Nobody tells me I'm awesome. Mm. Because I, as an introvert, am used to sitting next to somebody who's super loud and likes to talk about how amazing they are, even though their work isn't as good. And they get all the attention. So I work harder, and I still get less attention, and I get less recognition. So it's recognizing the good work that they do and the effort that people put in, and also allowing them spaces to fail and making sure that they feel safe to fail. Because if they're failing, that means they're trying. And that's what I want. That's what I want our employees to do. That's what I want them to feel like they are in a safe space.
Perfect. I think we're already done.
Well done.
So many questions are still open, I feel.